You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper than again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters the Simpsons? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto's house Saturday morning. The day after date with Lisa. Naruto slept in his bed with Kurenai close to him, using his chest as a pillow as she slept. Bang bang bang. Naruto and Kurenai jumped as banging was heard as someone knocked on the door. Wake the F up you two. Sakura was heard yelling. The hell Sakura? Naruto groaned as he opened the door forgetting his NDE state of no dress from the night before. The rest of the crew is here. Time to kill fat boy's men after I do you off, Sakura grinned. Step away from the boss you drunk, a female voice said as a blonde woman in a black dress with her hair in 4 ponytails and she had an annoyed look on her face as she pulled Sakura back. She had large DD cup melons, a toned athletic body, and a plump peach. Hey Temari, Naruto said with a smile at Gaara's sister and one of his best strategists. Hey, what about me? Another female voice said making Naruto turn to see a woman with brown hair in twin buns wearing a white tank top and black jeans showing off her D-cup melons, her toned body, and her heart-shaped peach. I missed you too 1010, Naruto said with a smile at his weapons user and teacher. Show me how much you missed me, 1010 said with a smile and a wink at him. None of that now go get dressed prince, a third female voice said, making everyone, even Naruto and Kurenai tense a bit. The woman had long purple hair with DD cup melons, a curvy body, and a large peach under her attire of a black tank top and gray jeans. Yugo. Mom sent you? Naruto asked surprised seeing his mom's personal bodyguard there. She wants me to make sure this gets done and that Tony's organization is dealt with once and for all. Yugo explained simply. I don't need a babysitter, Naruto told her with a glare. Obviously but your new alpha probably does, Yugo said with a small smirk. Oh god does mom know? Naruto asked almost pleadingly to the CC bodyguard. Please she's the one that told me about Miss Simpson, Yugo said with a dismissive wave of her hand. Who is this Simpson that has ensnared you? Temari asked with a twitching eyebrow. Oh god damn it, Naruto groaned as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Relax your mom said she's a VIP for me to keep safe. Even from your other playmates, Yugo said with a smirk. And you? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. What? You know I take my job seriously, Prince. Yugo said simply. So you letting me bend you over when asked was part of the job huh? Naruto asked with a smirk. My body was meant to be used by you. Simple as that, Yugo said simply. And the fact you begged me to give you my hot man chowder was just you being professional huh? Naruto asked with a cocky smirk while the other girls giggled. Ha! You're no better than us. Sakura laughed as she drank some whiskey before she crushed the emptied bottle in her hands to shards of glass. Go get dressed, Yugo ordered as she walked away downstairs. Naruto chuckled as he and Kurenai went to get dressed before heading downstairs. So you actually gave up your place to this Simpson? Temari asked Kurenai as they went downstairs after they came out. She proved herself worthy to me. Kurenai said simply. She's civilian so either she's a rare talent, you're slipping, or the prince is just into that girl next door CRP, Temari said as she rolled her eyes. A combination of all three, Kurenai sighed as she was still upset she let Tony's thugs get to her in a weakened state. So what's the status with Tony's little mob operations? Naruto asked those downstairs wanting a full debrief. They're all panicking like fools and all his operations are now adding more security, Enko said as she cleaned her nails with a dagger. Mostly cause of what Sakura and Ino did to a few groups yesterday, Gaara said monotonically as he held up a phone with an image on it. You human centipede, 3 of them? DMN girl, Tenten said as she whistled at Sakura impressed. It was only 3. DMN, I'm slacking, I thought it was more when I was drunk, Sakura sighed disappointed in herself. Okay Gaara, what's the status of those ever-moving mob construction vehicles? Naruto asked. I found them. They're currently driving around downtown Springfield. Gaara responded. Okay, if we're gonna make real progress we're gonna need to take those out, Naruto said. That will take a lot since he has escorts with high-caliber weapons with them at all times, Gaara explained. Sounds like fun. Enko grinned as she twirled her dagger, I'll enjoy slicing them into little ribbons. Myself and Enko are going, who else wants to help us? Naruto asked his crew. I'll go, Kurenai said as she wanted some payback for them grpng her while dirged. Negative Kurenai. You will not be going, Yugao told her. Why the hell not? Kurenai demanded as she pulled a iron spike out. Your mind is too clouded with thoughts of payback. You'll get distracted too easily. I shall go while you watch over the Simpson girl till I relieve you, Yugao told her. Ah hell, I told Lisa I would go with her to watch her brother's derby race. Him and Maggie worked HRD on their car and want me to see, Naruto said as he sighed. That's fine sir, me and Temari can handle this, Gaara said as he nodded at his sister. Yeah, these guys can't plan ahead like I can, we will have them cornered before the day is out, Temari said as she pulled out 2 hand fans and opened them revealing they were bladed. Very well. Gaara, Temari, Tenten, and Enko shall deal with the construction vehicles. Naruto, you shall go on your date. Kurenai, you and I shall watch over them both. Yugao said. Ino, you and Sakura will be working at the burlesque house today. Get any info from people who like to talk. Naruto ordered them. They have good booze? Sakura asked curiously. The best, Naruto responded with a chuckle. Be in, let's go. Sakura yelled as she grabbed Ino by her arm and pulled her out the door. Burlesque house? Temari asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. No, I didn't sleep with any of the girls there, he rolled his eyes. So you learned from the cabaret club incident then, Tenten said. No, he just didn't get the chance yet, Enko said with a snicker as she knew Naruto would eventually go there just for fun. Alright, inform me or Yugao of any progress or important info, Naruto said as everyone left. And if Fat Boy's men resist? Enko asked with a grin as she had a feeling this was gonna be a bloodbath. Go nuts. I'm done playing nice. He went too far yesterday and Mom wants his head. I no longer care how many of his men you have to cut through, Naruto said seriously. Yes. Where's my poison that makes them puke up their intestines? Enko yelled excitedly. Top shelf of the fridge, Kurenai said simply. Please tell me that was labeled. Naruto asked paling. I labeled it as poison, Enko said with an eye roll as she grabbed the bottle from the fridge. Okay, I trust you, let's go you two, Naruto said as he led Kurenai and Yugao out of the house. Hey, who replaced my poison with holy water? Enko yelled looking at the bottle. Did you PSS off Flanders? Naruto asked as he looked at Enko. What? He called me a harlot. She said. And what did you do in response? Naruto asked knowingly. I flashed his kids, Enko said with an evil smirk. Ha! Naruto laughed. Aren't they like 10? Kurenai asked a little freaked out. Yeah, and thanks to me they won't end up gay and inside each other, Enko said with a proud smirk. I'm just gonna ignore this one, Kurenai sighed at her best friend's crazed antics. Oh relax sis, I only showed off my legs and cleavage. I'm not F. Herbert from Family Guy. Enko told her with an eye roll. Good to know babe, Naruto said as he chuckled and left the house. Anko watched Naruto leave and smirked. Get your fat peach back here, she said under her breath. I heard that. Naruto yelled as he crossed the street to the Simpsons' house. Good. Anko cackled before she turned back to her team for this job. Okay, B's ready for a class assignment? She asked with a vicious grin. Naruto rolled his eyes as he approached the Simpsons' door and knocked on it before it was answered by Lisa. For the last time, we have no interest in any Jehovah's Witness pamphlets, Lisa said as she answered the door. I'm more in the business of worshipping you, Miss Simpson, Naruto said with a chuckle as Lisa looked at him, realizing who it was at the door. Oh, it's you. Thank Buddha. I was sick of turning away Jehovah's Witnesses. We've had 5 in the last half hour, Lisa sighed. Is that why Flanders and his clan of morons have been singing Jesus songs at your window? Kurenai asked as she scowled. She understood the appeal of religion. She accepted people enjoy it or devote themselves to it. She tolerated it. So long as the person doesn't try to shove their religion down the throats of others. Sadly, yes, Lisa said as she let Naruto and his 2 escorts in. Do I need to deal with him? Naruto asked curiously. No, I have been dealing with this since I became a Buddhist when I was 8. It's fine. Lisa said quickly. Okay, good. Yugao, put down the kunai, Naruto told the purple-haired woman who lowered her arm as she held a knife she was preparing to throw at Flanders through the window. This a bodyguard of yours? Lisa asked curiously as she looked at Yugao. Actually, I'm more your bodyguard, courtesy of Empress Kushina Uzumaki, Miss Simpson, Yugao said with a bow. Say what? Lisa asked bewildered. Yeah, my mom found out about you and this is her way of saying she approves of you. So she sent you her personal bodyguard until Fat Tony is dealt with, Naruto explained. Wow, I didn't expect this from your mom, Lisa said with a shake of her head. You think this is bad? Wait until she starts asking you for grandkids, Naruto sighed. You're kidding, right? Lisa asked, hoping this was a joke. He's not. We've all had her begging us to have his children consistently, Yugao said simply to the blonde Simpson girl. She once spiked my coffee with FRTLTY pills before. The prince and her got in a fight over that incident, she explained. Only fight against her I ever won. And only cause her sword broke, Naruto admitted. Anyway, will you two be joining us at the race? Lisa asked, ignoring the previous conversation. Indeed we shall, Yugao said with a bow. Yeah, they're both on guard duty, but don't worry, they won't be seen unless Fat Boy makes a dumb move, Naruto said as he held Lisa's hand. Why would he do anything during a children's soapbox derby race? Lisa questioned, bewildered. Why would he test me when he knows he can't win? Naruto responded as he pulled Lisa close into a hug. Touché, Lisa said with a chuckle before the two left the house towards the race with Kurenai and Yugao following behind them. Soapbox derby race. The race was designed rather simply. Kids would take their car and drive it down a sloping road to a finish line at the bottom. Each race would have 3 kids go in each wave and continue until each individual race had their winners. From there the winners would compete against each other in a tournament fashion till there was one true winner. Bart and Maggie were working, wiping down their entrant. The Typhoon. A simplistic blue soapbox car with 2 seats. Hey Simpson, where'd you get your car? A junkyard? Nelson asked as he pushed his derby car next to them. I don't know, Nelson, where'd you get your car? Same landfill your mom gets her outfits. Maggie asked with an eye roll. It looks cheap enough to be the same place, Bart said as he and Maggie fist bumped and laughed. Hey Simpson, when I beat you don't take the loss hard. Maybe we can work together next year, Nelson said to Maggie. Bart paled at this as he moved away from Maggie as he knew what was coming. You hitting on me, Muntz? Maggie asked with a smile as she approached the older boy. Maybe I am. What of, oh God? Nelson yelled as Maggie twisted his arm, bending it backwards as she placed her foot on his back. Say uncle. Maggie ordered with a glare. Uncle. Nelson cried out in pain. Louder, you little bee. Maggie ordered as she pulled on his arm and stomped on his back. Yunin Kelklee. Nelson yelled to the very heavens. Such a wuss. You're not worth my time, Maggie scoffed as she let go of his arm. I want a guy that won't flinch at a light amount of pain, Maggie said simply. That's light? Bart asked curiously as he had seen his sister send pre-teens running. And on one occasion a high schooler. You're AF psycho. Nelson yelled as he got up. Not according to the voices in my head. Now hold still, they said your head would look good with this wrench lodged in it. Maggie yelled as she grabbed a wrench from a toolbox and approached the whimpering bully. Will the contestants in Wave 13 please bring their cars to the starting line? An announcer yelled over the PA system. DMN, you got lucky, punk ass, Maggie said as she put the wrench down while Nelson fled to his soapbox car. Maggie and Bart brought their car to the starting line where they were joined by Nelson and Martin Prince in a rocket-looking car called the Honor Roller. Are the racers ready? The announcer asked. Let's do this already. Maggie yelled as she put on her goggles. I am assuredly ready if my opponents are, Martin said. You are so gonna die a virgin, Maggie said as she shook her head at Martin. Or at least lose his girl to someone else. Possibly even Milhouse, Bart said with a chuckle while Maggie laughed. With Naruto and Lisa. Wow, your little sis has a mouth on her, Naruto said with a chuckle. I blame my aunts for letting her watch Scarface as a kid, Lisa sighed while Homer in the stands laughed and Marge sighed in embarrassment at her daughter's antics. Hey, better a tough girl than a doormat, Kurenai said as she nodded in approval as she poked her head out from underneath their bleacher seats. Right next to Naruto's leg. Is Yugao also with you by my legs? Lisa asked as that was just a bizarre hiding spot to her. Indeed I am, Yugao said as she poked her head out to answer before pulling back with Kurenai back under the bleachers. This is gonna take some getting used to, Lisa sighed. Don't worry, it's not that bad if it's with me, right? Naruto asked as he placed his arm around Lisa. Maybe, Lisa said with a coy smile at her boyfriend. What are the odds of a four-way? Kurenai whispered to Yugao so nobody could hear. Hush, you're ruining the prince's moment, Yugao said blankly. The race. Racers on your mark. Get set, and go. The announcer yelled as the three racers sped down the sloped road. Martin flying past both cars in a show of pure speed. Out of my way, Simpson and B, Nelson yelled as he swung a WHP at the siblings. Maggie caught the WHP before it could hit Bart and glared at Nelson. So does your mommy know you stole this from her closet? Maggie asked before she pulled on the WHP and caused Nelson to crash into a wall and for Bart and Maggie's car to catch up with Martin. With Naruto. Note to self, recruit Maggie when she's older, Kurenai said with a chuckle. Indeed. If I trained her she'd be a force to be reckoned with, Yugao nodded in agreement. I'd be the one training her, Kurenai said with a glare. In what? Being an ineffective sap? Yugao asked with a raised eyebrow. Grr, Kurenai growled at this as she gnashed her teeth. Lisa then stomped on the step above them. Hush up. You're ruining my date. She whisper yelled down at them. Yes, Alpha. Kurenai whisper yelled back with a salute. And you said you didn't think you could keep her in line, Naruto said as he hugged Lisa close and kissed her cheek, making her smile. The race. Martin was still flying down the track when he was approaching the finish line. So he hit the brakes so he wouldn't overshoot it. Unfortunately, the brakes didn't work whatsoever. What? He asked before he pulled a lever to try and pull his emergency parachute to slow down. The parachute opened at the very back and looked to be shredded with holes in multiple places. Oh dear. Martin yelled in a panic as he flew down past the finish line and kept going and going. Until his car hit a brick wall and flew out of his car, smashing head first into the wall and his helmet breaking. Racer down. We need a medic. The announcer yelled as Well, second place isn't so bad, Bart said as he parked the cart after crossing the finish line. Maggie sighed annoyed before she saw something. Hey, his racer was leaking oil, she said, seeing a very small oil trail from where Martin's racer was driving. Someone sabotaged his ride? Bart asked, confused. Yeah, and no, it wasn't me. Martin paid his protection money this month, Maggie said before they looked to see Nelson walk down the finish line, his steering wheel around his head. Yo Nelson, you cut Martin's brakes? Bart asked. The hell are you talking about? Nelson groaned out, still a bit groggy. I'm talking about I'm gonna stick this somewhere very unpleasant if you don't talk, Maggie said as she grabbed the wheel around Nelson's head and glared at him. Whoa, chill out. I really didn't do anything to the nerd. He paid me his lunch money yesterday, so I don't have any reason to sabotage him. Fine. Did you see anyone near his cart? Maggie demanded. Nelson thought on this as he did know, but he didn't want to get whacked. Nelson, I would talk, you know Maggie will torture you to get it out of you, Bart said as Maggie pulled out some pliers. I'll start with the front teeth and work my way to the back, Maggie said with a mad grin. Okay. Look, I saw some guys in suits over by his ride earlier, Nelson quickly said, knowing when he was beat. Were they Italian or Japanese? Maggie asked as she held up the pliers to Nelson's mouth for emphasis. Italian. Definitely Italian. Nelson told her. Okay, let's go tell Naruto, sis. Let Nelson go, he's learned his lesson this week, Bart said as he pulled Maggie away from Nelson. Fine, Maggie said before looking at Nelson again. Don't test me, boy, or I'll rip out every tooth in your and give em down you till you choke, she threatened as her and Bart went to the stands to inform Naruto and Lisa. Hey, congrats on second place, you two. Too bad about Martin though, Lisa said with a small frown as she didn't like how hurt he got. Thanks, but listen, we have a problem, Bart said to Naruto. Some Italian guys in suits were apparently poking around Martin's car, Maggie SSID. How do you know? Naruto asked as he knew it was best to get all the information. I asked Nelson nicely, Maggie said with a grin as she placed her pliers on her shoulder for emphasis. Naruto, never let Anko train my sister, Lisa begged. No promises. The other girls are already fighting over who gets to train her as an apprentice, Naruto said with a nervous chuckle. Ay caramba, Bart gulped at this. I want the pink-haired one to teach me how to human centipede people, Maggie said with a wicked grin. You want to be a drunk? Kurenai asked curiously. It works for Dad, Maggie shrugged. Yes, Sakura has street cred, plus I'm sure you will find your own style instead of ripping off others, Naruto said. Good point, but I still want to work-study whiskers, Maggie said. I'm not winning this, am I? Naruto asked Lisa with a raised eyebrow. No, Lisa said deadpan. Look, we will talk later. Right now though I'm gonna have a little talk with some wise guys, Naruto said as he adjusted his tie and stood up. Yugao is already on it. Enjoy your date, Kurenai said simply as she looked over to Yugao next to her, who had a man in a chokehold under the bleachers and stabbing him in the stomach with a knife, while two other mobsters were covered in stab wounds and bleeding at her feet. Are they alive? Naruto asked curiously while Lisa pulled Bart and Maggie away. Barely, they have been very cooperative. Kurenai said simply. Don't go too crazy, Yugao. We can get some more info from them. Bring them back to the house once the races end, Naruto ordered. Understood, Prince, Yugao said before she tightened her choke hold and the mobster fell unconscious at her feet from lack of air. I think I'll take them home while you get to business, Lisa told Naruto, gesturing to Bart and Maggie. I wanted to see them get tortured, Maggie complained to her older sister. I wanted to get some ideas. None of that now. How about I treat you two to a mall trip since you in second? Naruto asked. You're not needed for your business? Lisa asked curiously. Nah, they've got this, Naruto waved it off with a smile. I want a new game system and 3 games, whiskers, Maggie said firmly. I'll take the same, Bart said with a smirk. Done. Naruto said as he was not gonna let them watch what Kurenai and Yugao would do to those guys. It wouldn't be pretty. Later. Naruto was driving Lisa and her siblings home after their trip to the mall. "Honey, I love you, but your siblings are rip-off artists," Naruto said to Lisa as he grumbled as he parked the car. "Hey, you didn't say we couldn't go to Scalper's, man," Bart said with a smile at his new PS5. "So, it up whiskers," Maggie said with her own smug smile at the fact her and Bart took advantage of Naruto when he should have known better. "Are you actually mad they conned you or are looking to recruit them?" Lisa asked with a smirk as she found it funny that a Yakuza heir was conned by her little siblings. "They have potential, but I'm not letting them in until they are at least in high school, and even then small-time stuff. Mom and I know better. We're not like Tony's gang after all." Naruto sighed as he drove on the highway before he noticed a black van following behind them. "They have been watching us for the past hour," Bart said, simply seeing Naruto notice the van. "Yeah, though that psycho with the snakes went into the van 4 minutes ago," Maggie said with a smirk as the van shook violently before a man was suddenly thrown through the windshield and then run over by the still driving van. Anko then was shown driving the van. "Nothing to see here. Keep walking, Flanders," Anko bellowed at the neighbor as she parked the van in Naruto's garage. "Okali dokali Yakuzarino," Ned said with a smile before he went inside his house. "God, I hate him," Anko growled as Temari joined her in the garage. If he keeps to himself he's fine. "So who we torturing?" Temari asked as she closed the garage door. "Maybe I should make sure they don't get too out of hand," Naruto said as they needed info badly, but Anko and Temari together could be a bit much when interrogating others. "Go ahead, I need to get these two home before Mom freaks out," Lisa said as she, Bart, and Maggie got out of his car. Before Lisa could get far, Naruto pulled her into a searing lip kiss. "Geez, get a room you two," Maggie deadpanned at the couple. Naruto pulled away from Lisa, who was panting a bit. "And the isotopes take the field," she said as she panted for breath from the fierce kiss. "Ha! You made her stupid gene kick in from a kiss," Bart said as he laughed. "They'll never find your body, Bart," Lisa giggled out, still drunk off the kiss. Naruto chuckled at this. "I'll text you later," he told her before he went inside the house. "Count on it," Lisa said with a smile before she went home with her siblings. "Surprised you didn't screw her yet," Kurenai said from a bush outside Naruto's house. "Shouldn't you be getting information?" Naruto asked with a flat tone. "I planned to, but Yugao ordered me to wait here for your inevitable return," Kurenai said. "Good, let's go see if we can save at least one of those morons," Naruto said as Temari, Anko, and Yugao doing interrogation was a terrifying prospect. As soon as they entered the house and walked down the basement, they saw Temari throwing bladed fans at a spinning wheel with one mobster strapped to it. Yugao was stabbing another mobster in his ribs with a spoon. And Anko had a car battery strapped to a man's tips and was electrocuting him on and off. "Hello Prince, you're just in time to question them. I think they're ready," Yugao said with a cold look on her face. "We were ready to talk an hour ago." The man getting electrocuted yelled. "You talking wise to me?" Yugao asked with a slight edge in her voice. "No ma'am," the mobster said fearfully. "Ma'am." Anko hit him again, Yugao ordered. "No please, I'm sorry, oh great and appealing MSTRS." The mobster pleaded. "Better," Yugao said with a smirk. "Look, I'm sure you all have learned your lesson and would like a chance to atone for your crimes against us. So start talking. Why did Fat Tony make you sabotage a kid's race?" Naruto said. "He wants his kid to win." The mobster strapped to wheel yelled. "Even we find this stupid when he should be focusing on your guys taking all other gigs." The one Yugao stabbed with a spoon said. "Oh. Fat Boy's own men are starting to see he's a moron, huh?" Naruto asked with a smirk. "Yes. We always knew, but there were no real other options with him running things. It was either work for him or die." The one that was electrocuted shouted. I'm starting to see a opportunity. Tell me, do a lot of your fellow mobsters feel the same way?" Naruto asked with a smirk. "Honestly? Lower grunts like us, yeah. His inner circle though definitely not, the one strapped to a wheel admitted. And you all outnumber the higher-up ones don't you? Temari asked as she smiled seeing what Naruto was thinking. If this is trying to talk us into ambushing him and taking over as much as we'd like to his inner circle and the rest of his groups in Italy would be an issue, the one Yugao stabbed said. Oh, we have a way to fix that, don't you worry, Enko said with a mad grin. I'll contact Kushina-sama and see if we can send Samui and Karui to Italy, Kurenai said to Naruto. Plus we wouldn't let you go in without the tools to win. I make sure my men are well equipped and paid well, Naruto said with a grin. Sold. Now get me down. I think I'm gonna be sick. The wheel-strapped goon begged. Swear loyalty to Yugao cause you report to her now, Naruto said gesturing to the purple-haired woman. Sure, I swear to you. I'll swear to anything you want. I'll swear to a pie if you want. Please let me down. I think I'm gonna hurl. The goon begged. Naruto nodded at Temari who nodded back and went to let the mobsters loose. You will be in charge of our new forces that are made of fat boys underappreciated men, Naruto said firmly to Yugao. Of course Prince, she said as she nodded and looked at the beginning of her new squad. Let's be clear, you and your fellow men play nice and work hard, then you will be paid well and be treated fair. If you cross me then this little interrogation will seem like a vacation compared to what I will put you through, Yugao warned. Yes MSTRS, the three men yelled as they saluted her. I see why you enjoy that title. It's quite pleasing, Yugao said to Enko with a grin. Temari, how did it go with Fat Boy's construction crew? Naruto asked as he went upstairs with her close behind. Complete annihilation, Temari reported with a smile. Good, between that and we now have Yugao offering his men sanctuary. Fat Boy will have nothing except his ties to the mayor. And since he and his little group of circle jerks lean heavily on that, we can sever them both and put them in a corner. Naruto said with a grin. That's hot, Temari said with a blush and without thinking as she looked at Naruto who smirked at her hearing this. How hot is it making you? He asked as he pushed her against a wall and loomed over her with a grin. Oh, if I missed being your prey, Temari purred as Naruto kissed at her neck and groped at her melons. Sorry to interrupt Prince, Kurenai said with a bow as she held up a phone and interrupted their fun time. You have a call from a woman by the name of Edna, Kurenai said. Oh hell, I forgot, Naruto said as he took the phone. Temari growled and pulled out one of her fans and glared at Kurenai. None of that, I'll get to you soon enough. I promise. Naruto said firmly as he smacked Temari's peach. MMPH fine. I'll wait, but you better F me through a wall, Temari told him with a blush as she tried not to let on she liked him spanking her. Naruto chuckled at this and put his phone to his ear. Hello Edna, sorry I took so long to call you. I've been a bit preoccupied with the business, he told her apologetically. That's fine, handsome. I actually was hoping you could help me with something at my apartment, she told him. Of course, what do you need? Naruto asked curiously. I'll level with you. I had someone key my car in the parking garage of my building last night. I actually was hoping you'd see if they strike again tonight since you can fight off Willy and he's preoccupied with his girlfriend, Edna said with a sigh. No problem, I can show up and take a look at the place and see if I can help, Naruto said as that was a serious problem to him. Worried maybe Tony was going after her for his ruining his little club. You leaving? Kurenai asked curiously. Yes, Edna had someone mess with her car. If it's Tony's idiots I need to be there. Edna? Oh, the hot teacher with the rack and peach, Kurenai said with a chuckle. How'd you know her? I only spoke with her once before you guys arrived. Naruto questioned, genuinely curious. I may have stalked several women in the city to see if they were threats to my position before I gave it to Lisa, Kurenai admitted sheepishly. Temari DSPLN her while I'm gone, Naruto ordered as he headed for the door. With pleasure, Temari grinned ferally at Kurenai before grabbing her and pulling her into a room. Later with Naruto. Naruto pulled his motorcycle into the parking garage to see a blonde man over by a keyed-up car holding a bag of sugar and pouring it in the gas tank. Hey as. Naruto said as he stepped off his motorcycle and tore off his white suit jacket, black undershirt, and white tie in one motion. Who the hell are you? Did the bee hire a male STRPR? The blonde man asked with a glare at Naruto for interrupting him from his payback. I'm the guy who's gonna kick your ass up and down this garage if you don't get away from that car, Naruto told him as he cracked his neck. PSS off. The man yelled before he went back to pouring sugar down the gas tank of the car. Before Naruto grabbed him by his hair and slammed his head into the car door and held the man's arm pulling it back as he groaned in pain. I'll break as many bones as I need to make you talk as. Better start talking before I start breaking MB. Naruto growled. Gah. What the hell? I'm just F with my ex-wife, the man said. You married Edna? Naruto asked bewildered as he kept his hold up on the guy. Not believing the hot teacher would ever date an idiot like this guy, let alone marry him. Yeah, until we broke up and she started hounding me for alimony. Ah, I get it, Naruto said with a nod of understanding before he punched the man in the kidneys. Oh F. The man cried out in pain. Quiet B. Now where was I? Oh right, it was, kidney shot. Kidney shot. Kidney shot. And pause, kidney shot. Naruto said, raining punches on his kidneys. The man groaned in pain before Naruto made him look at him. The name Uzumaki mean anything to you? Naruto asked with a scowl. The man paled at this and nodded quickly. Remember this pain next time you decide to F with Edna, and you're not gonna miss any more payments now. We will be in touch, Naruto said before he pushed the man into the asphalt. Yes sir. The man said fearfully before scampering away. Punk as, Naruto said with a scoff as he got back on his suit and turned to go up to Edna's apartment. As he got to it, he knocked on the door. It's open. Edna said from behind the door. Naruto entered the apartment and paused, seeing Edna lying down on her couch. In a skimpy outfit consisting of a purple tube-like BR and black shorts clinging to her body while her lips were painted cherry red with lipstick. You planned this, didn't you? Naruto asked as he chuckled. Planned what? She asked innocently. You invite me over. I beat up your ex-husband and now you're dressed like this, Naruto smirked. It was my ex-husband? She questioned, not expecting that. Yeah, don't worry, he won't be missing any more alimony payments, Naruto said as he cracked his knuckles. Oh, that little, he can cheat on me with some sea-tail waiters, but I demand alimony and I'm the villain? She asked with a frown on her face. Well, don't worry, the word's out that you're off limits now, Naruto said as he sat down next to Edna on the couch. Oh really? Am I? Edna asked as she moved and sat in his lap. Right now? No. After I'm done with you. You'll be mine, he smirked. Ha. So you want me as one of your F-buddies, she asked with a saucy grin. Who told you? Naruto asked curiously. Those Quan twins have been spreading the word of how you made them your bees to any single women that they deemed attractive enough. Heh. Well, I don't like to brag, I just do it, Naruto said with a smirk as he grabbed Edna by her peach and pulled her close, pushing her generous chest against his own chiseled chest. What would you do to me if I let you, big boy? Edna asked with her smirk as she wiggled her peach on his clothed pee-pee. I would make you mine and you would be very happy as one of my women, Naruto growled into her ear. I want a nice apartment and a new car, Edna said firmly. I don't know what's in it for me. Naruto asked with a smirk. Edna smirked as she moved and slid down off him and fiddled with his zipper. Pulling it down before. Smack. Her head jostled a little from his hardened pee-pee slapping against her cheek before her eyes widened at the sight of his fully hard, throbbing, veiny, breaker of a pee-pee. I'm not too big, am I? Naruto asked with a chuckle at Edna's face. F no, I'm not letting you get away. I'm gonna take this in every single hole even if it kills me. She said in awe. Then take your top off, let's see you use those tips to please my PP, Naruto told her firmly. Yes sir. Edna grinned as she pulled her tube-like BR off and tossed it aside. Jiggling her melons up and down as she moved them with her hands to wrap around his hardened PP. So soft, Naruto as he felt her jugs wrapping around his PP. All natural big boy, Edna purred out as she liked at his PP as it poked out of her cleavage, and I can see you like a woman whose rack can be used as a PP warmer huh? She grinned boastfully as she pushed her melons up and down his pages. Stroking it off as she liked at the crown. I definitely am gonna keep you, Naruto groaned as his PP throbbed. Are you leaking already? Do you want to paint this teacher's melons white? Edna asked teasingly. If you eat it all I'll take you shopping, Naruto told her as he felt his release coming. I love a man that spoils me. And if I can't I'll let you use my tight little peach as a CC sleeve first, she said with a grin before she opened her wide waiting for his juice. Naruto grunted as he fired juice. Shocking her at the sheer thickness and volume as it went into her. She gulped and gulped as much as she could but she was unable to eat it all. Some of it dribbling out of her mouth onto her huge melons. You did good for a first-timer, Naruto chuckled as Edna cleaned her melons. You train your girls huh? You gonna train me big boy huh? Edna was saying before she found herself lifted up and squatted over his lap on the couch. His pee-pee poking at her covered peach as she swat over. Let's get rid of this, Naruto said as he ripped off her shorts and tore them in half with little effort. Hey! I can't afford new clothes, Edna complained. You have a first-class peach, Naruto growled as he gripped her peach cheeks in his hands ignoring her complaint. Didn't you hear me? You owe me new SHOF. Edna screamed as she felt his pee-pee penetrate her peach as he pushed her down onto said pee-pee by his grip on her large peach. F you're tight. Naruto growled huskily into her ear. Edna grit her teeth as Naruto's pee-pee invaded her tight peach. Spearing it as he harshly groped her peach. You want me to stop? Naruto asked with a smirk at how Edna was acting tough. F no. I'll take anything you can dish out. On big boy. Edna growled out with a smirk as she smacked her own peach hard for emphasis. Fine with me. I'll stop holding back then, Naruto smirked as he stood up from the couch with her still impaled on his pee-pee and grabbed her by her peach. Moving and bouncing her up and down on his thick pee-pee like a fleshlight. Oh yes. I needed this so bad. Finally a real man. Edna cried out in pure pleasure. I bet you have, Naruto grunted out, I guess men here just can't compare to me huh? Naruto asked with a cocky grin as he bounced her even harder and faster on his pee-pee. You're a real man coming into this city and F it's bees like they need, Edna panted out as she liked at his chest like a pet. How are you offering to be my bee then? Naruto smirked. I'll be one of your best ones. You ever need a quick fix, you just straight to me big boy. Just bend me over and PND me. Doesn't matter where. Edna out with a lustful grin. You just want me to F you on your desk at your job, Naruto grunted out as she smirked as he gripped Edna's peach hard as he thrusted. Is the big bad Yakuza too afraid of F a woman on a desk? Edna teased with a lustful smirk. I don't want to break your desk like I broke your peach, Naruto told her as he slammed her even harder and faster on his pee-pee. Oh F I'm almost there, Edna panted as she gripped his back. Wrapping her arms around him. Go ahead and leak my salty teacher. Leak for your new MSTR, Naruto ordered her as he started to CLMX in her peach. Edna threw her head back and screamed as she climaxed HRD on his pee-pee shaking and shuddering as she did so. Feeling his hot seed flood her peach as she sprayed her own CLMX juices onto his stomach and hips. Naruto panted for breath as he let Edna down and laid her on the couch. I need a minute stud, Edna panted out as she took a few breaths. You take 5 I'll get a drink. You have any juice? Naruto asked. Just some wine, Edna panted out as she took a breath. Good enough. Naruto said as he wasn't picky as he grabbed a bottle of wine from the counter and grabbed a small glass before pouring and drinking it. Edna panted for breath as she saw Naruto's PP was still standing tall. You're still hard? She asked in pure surprise. Well, I need to break in your PP next. Besides, I'm usually good for about 10 shots, Naruto told her with a grin as he approached her and pinned her to the couch as he kissed at her neck, making her I'm gonna die from this. Edna thought in shock as she thought about getting F for 10 shots, getting pounded that rough over SND over again before Naruto slammed his PP inside her PP. The sounds of Naruto and Edna having said was heard from her apartment throughout the night all the way into early morning. A few days later with Naruto. A few days after Naruto slept with Edna, Naruto was in Moe's tavern. He was looking over revenue and profits from the new remodel, which were very high ever since they reopened. As Naruto was looking over the costs for alcohol they sold compared to what they paid for, his phone suddenly rang. Hello? Naruto asked nonchalantly. Hello brat, a female voice said over the phone. Bachan. What are you calling for? Naruto asked curiously, recognizing the voice of his grandmother on his dad's side of the family. Your mother has a job for you that is in your neck of the woods, Tsunade told him. What is it? Naruto asked curiously as his mom knew he was currently dealing with Fat Tony's slowly shrinking mob. Your mom is meeting up with a possible business partner in Detroit and she wants you to be there to help negotiate. She wants to see how you would do with negotiating for once that doesn't involve punching a man in his jugular 17 times, Tsunade said within a teasing tone. You're never going to let me live that down, are you? Naruto asked with a sigh. Hey, I'm not judging. You got them to agree to a 25% discount, Tsunade said with an audible smirk on her face. When is this meeting and who is it with? Naruto asked, deciding he may as well help if his mom was asking. The meeting is in 3 days in Detroit. Your mother and her guards will meet you at the Crown Inn. The business partner is a man named Herbert Powell, CEO and owner of Powell Motors. Tsunade explained. Powell Motors? Mom's investing in a car-making company? Naruto asked curiously. That wasn't typically something his mom usually invested in. While she did have a hand in several non-crime related industries and investments, she never really cared much about the motor vehicle industry. Yeah, the guy is in a rut trying to keep up with the other car companies and is hoping working with your mom will give him the funds to come up with an idea, Tsunade explained. Alright. Are you gonna be there with her? Naruto asked the woman curiously. Nah, but your great-grandma Mito is gonna head out there to check in on you soon. So maybe I'll come then, Tsunade elope. Oh yeah, I forgot her ex lives in this town, Naruto said with a chuckle. Old prune face. Ha. Oh man, if he messes with you she's gonna go nuclear, Tsunade cackled. Indeed. Though I do wonder why they broke up. Nana Mito never told me, Naruto admitted. Oh, he kept forgetting their anniversary, Tsunade said. And he is still alive? Wow, she must have liked him, Naruto said as his great handmade temper was the stuff of legends. Yup. Said she loved his cold black heart. Our family is weird, Tsunade admitted. Yeah, but if we weren't it would be boring and the Uchihas would be running Japan into the ground, Naruto said. Speaking of which, Old Duck Peach and the beta male are both missing in action after their clan was disbanded after your mom made an example of his dad and his followers along with the traitorous Hyugas and Kiba, Tsunade said. Right, how is Hinata and her family? And Mikoto, Tsum, and Hana, Naruto asked, remembering he was told this before. And that those women would be with him according to Kushina. Hinata, her sister, and her mother are fine, but she's really bugging your mom a lot for your location. Mikoto, I believe, became one of Kushina's guards after swearing loyalty to her and stabbing her ex-husband to prove herself. Tsum and Hana swore service to Kushina as well and are hunting for their traitorous family members led by Kiba. Last I heard, them and Conan were in India hunting for Kiba. Tsunade explained. Well, keep me posted. If they look like they are heading here let me know, Naruto said as he knew Kiba and Sasuke may gun for him at some point. Mostly to send a message to his mother. No problem though, I would be surprised if they can find Springfield on a map, even I have a hard time finding it, Tsunade said. All the more reason for them to come here. What better place is there for them to hide or plan in? Naruto pointed out. Fair point, brat. Okay, take care and make fat boy beg for mercy. I recommend dumping out some of his pasta stash. Or replace his oregano with basil, Tsunade snickered. Was that racist? Naruto asked. Nah, I hate him for who he is. Not for being a pasta, stereotype. Anyways, I'm gonna hang up now. Good luck. Kick him in his tiny pee-pee for me, Tsunade said. Naruto rolled his eyes as he also hung up before he got up to leave Moe's since everything looked to be in order. Alright. We're good here. I'll check in on things after a week or two, Moe. Have to make a business trip. Let's go, Kurenai, we have places to be, Naruto said as Kurenai nodded before following him while Moe gave Naruto a thumbs up. Titania, who was cleaning the bar, looked up at Naruto as he left. You're not gonna say goodbye to me? She asked with a pout. Naruto smiled as he walked past her and smacked her peach before he walked out the door. Titania at this as a smile graced her lips while Naruto made his way out the tavern. Business trip? Kurenai asked with an arched eyebrow. Mom is making a business deal in Detroit and wants me there to negotiate for it. Naruto explained. Your usual negotiation tactics of beating people to near death or actual negotiations? Kurenai asked after a moment. Actual. This one is reasonable from what I heard, so I'll probably just take a couple of people with me. I'm thinking Temari, Tenten, and Yugao, Naruto said. Faye the fangirl and the weapon otaku, Kurenai rolled her eyes. I thought you would be more chill after the whole abdicating the alpha spot thing. Naruto questioned as they both got in his car. Oh, I am. Think of it as friendly banter and insults without the need to scoop out their eyeballs with a melon baller, Kurenai said calmly. Anyway, while I'm gone, Gaara is in charge of operations along with you. I'd say Enko too, but not after what happened in Fiji, Naruto shuddered as he drove the car. Be glad the bodies couldn't get traced to us with how destroyed they were, Kurenai shuddered as well. Later. Naruto parked the car in the garage and as he got out he noted across the street Lisa and her family getting into the car with many bags of luggage. Curious on this, Naruto approached the family and went over to his girlfriend. Hey babe. I didn't know you guys were planning a trip, Naruto said as he approached Lisa. Yeah, Dad found out he has a long-lost half-brother, so we're going to go see him this weekend, hey. Lisa said before Naruto suddenly pulled her into a hug, making her laugh. Have a good trip and call me if any guys hit on you. I promise I will calmly and politely speak with them with my baseball bat, Naruto said smirking. Aw, don't worry. Now that I'm your main girl, I'm not giving it up without a fight. Besides, Maggie would probably do worse than you could to them, Lisa said with a grin at her boyfriend. DMN straight. I'm Big Bro's enforcer, Maggie yelled from the back seat of the car. Bart, why do you need her as an enforcer? Marge asked her son. She means Naruto, Mom. Bart said with a snicker. Oh, no enforcing for the local Yakuza, no offense, Marge said to Naruto. It's fine, I don't employ kids. Naruto said, getting a nod of approval from Marge. So you don't want this list of local guys who have been leering at Lisa like a piece of meat? Maggie asked with a smirk as she held up a manila folder. We will talk later. Naruto said after a moment, making Marge groan and Homer laugh. Oh, stop, Lisa said with a giggle before she kissed Naruto on the cheek before she got into the car as it drove off. I think you two need to screw soon, Kurenai deadpanned when Naruto walked back towards his house. Hey, we're moving at a decent pace, I feel. Anyways, I should go get packed and let the others know what's going on, Naruto shrugged. Decent pace? You lust for her like she's your next meal. Not that I blame you. I mean if it were me my head would already be in between her peach and dash, Kurenai was saying with a smirk before Naruto cut her off. Don't make me get the hose woman. Naruto yelled as they entered his house. And saw Anko stabbing a tied-up man with a spoon. Anko, what did I say about this? Naruto asked, gesturing to the tied-up man. No stabbing in the house, Anko said with a pout. That's right, take it to the garage, we're not animals, Naruto ordered. Oh fine. Let's go flesh sack, Anko said as he grabbed the tied-up and gagged man who could only scream in muffled fear and terror. How was the tavern? Gaara asked Naruto curiously. Looking good. However, we have important business. Yugao, Temari, Tenten. We are gonna be heading to Detroit to help Mom in a business negotiation, Naruto explained. Road trip. Tenten said with a smile as she pumped her fist excitedly. The BLD Empress left Japan? Yugao questioned, surprised. It was rare for Kushina to leave Japan. Not unheard of, just rare. She has Mikoto with her as a guard, so relax. Now all three of you go pack. It's a long trip to Detroit and we're gonna be there for a bit, Naruto explained before turning to Gaara. It's gonna take a while to negotiate, so Gaara, you're in charge and I want daily reports via email. Also don't let Anko commit war crimes again, Naruto said to his second in command. I'm going to commit various unethical war crimes. Anko was heard yelling from the garage. I want a raise, Gaara said with an emotionless tone. Yeah, okay, Naruto said as he knew keeping Anko in line alone was a tough job. Kurenai, help Gaara out as best you can and both of you keep me updated on Fat Boy. Naruto told his assassin. Yes MSTR, Kurenai nodded. Alright ladies, we have a drive to make, let's go, Naruto told Temari, Tenten, and Yugao, who nodded and went to get packed up. 6 hours later. It was hours later and Naruto pulled into the Crown Inn to get his and his lady's hotel room. Welcome to the Crown Inn. Do you have a room reserved? The receptionist asked as they entered. Yeah. Should be under the name Uzumaki. Naruto said. We have 2 suites booked under that name. One for a Kushina and the other for a Naruto, the receptionist said, wide-eyed as she recognized the name. I'm Naruto, he introduced himself while Tenten and Temari stifled laughter at seeing the receptionist getting paler and paler. Here's your room key, the woman said, shaking as she handed him a room key. Relax, we're just here to stay the night, Naruto said as he took the key. It's room number 209. Elevators are on the left, the receptionist said as she took a calming breath. Appreciated miss, Naruto said before giving her $100 bill as a tip as the four headed to the elevator. Room 209. Naruto opened the door to the room for 4. It was a rather unassuming room. Not a spectacular suite or penthouse or anything overly fancy. Just a simple red wall-covered hotel room. Except that it only had one bed. A king-size bed, yes. But only one bed. Leave it to Mom to cheap out on the room, Naruto said with a sigh. I believe Lady Kushina did this NKT as a means money, but because her mere presence would cause problems should she book at a higher-end hotel, Yugao said as they started to put their stuff away. I suppose that's true. Naruto admitted. Plus you know you only need one bed, lover, Tenten purred as she sidled up to Naruto and hugged his arm in between her melons. Temari did the same with his other arm, her own smirk on her face. How long did Mom say she'd be before she arrives in Detroit? Naruto asked Yugao as she had spoken with Kushina on the ride there while he drove. 6 more hours minimum. Yugao spoke up. Meaning we have 6 hours to play, Temari spoke up before blowing sensually in Naruto's ear. Naruto smirked at this. Yugao, would you like to join us? Naruto asked the appealing purple-haired guard. I will watch over the door while you have your fun, my prince. Yugao spoke in a monotone voice. Very well. I think we'll be fine personally, so if you want to join and feel free to join us, Naruto said as he knew better than to argue. Yugao nodded and stepped out of the door to guard the hall. Now then. Which of you wants it more? Naruto asked, smirking at the blonde and brunette as he took off his suit jacket, shirt, and tie as the two women got on the bed. Ooh me. I've been wanting that sword of yours shoved back in my sheath since you left Japan. Tenten said. It should be me. We had to postpone having fun earlier cause of him having to help that teacher from the school. I'm sick of being D-blocked, damn it. Temari yelled. Ladies, how about we decide this in a fun way, both of you do me off. Whoever gets me to leak harder gets F first, Naruto suggested as these two played off a rivalry they had with each other. So a competition like that was perfect for them. Ready to lose, fangirl? Tenten asked Temari with a grin as she took off her clothes, leaving her in a white BR and panties. You wish you weapon wear, Temari bit back as she took her own clothes off, revealing her black BR and panties. Meanwhile Naruto took his off and underwear off and let them hit the floor before he laid down on the bed. His hard PP on full display as he was gonna let them decide who went first for this little competition. After a round of rock, paper, scissors, Temari smirked in victory before she slid down the bed and knelt before Naruto's hardened member. Smirking and liking her lips at the sight, she bent forward and sent a slow lick from his ball up to the very tip of his pages, making it drag out as she savored the taste she had been denied for so long now. Naruto grunted and groaned at Temari's slow, methodical teasing, her tongue dancing along his most sensitive spots as she made note of each of his actions as her tongue moved, memorizing each time he made a subtle JRK or MMM loudly as she looked up towards him with her eyes looking directly into his. FTs, Naruto groaned out before he MMM aloud when Temari nibbled lightly on the tip of his pages, making him JRK and shudder as she smirked despite the PP in her MTH. She had been piping for quite some time back when he was still in Japan. She knew better than most of his women how to make him go wild with lust and pleasure with just her MTH. Naruto grit his teeth before he shouted and climaxed hard, shooting his thick juice into Temari's waiting, watching as she gulped down his thick juices as if it were water to her. Temari opened her mouth for Naruto to show she had drunk it all. Move aside, show off, it's my turn, Tenten said with an eager tone as she pushed Temari aside. Temari would normally get angry and this would start a fight between the two. However, she was so confident she had already won this challenge. After all, that was the hardest Naruto leaked from her mouth ever. The weapon otaku had no chance in hell. Okay stud, let's see you get a real BLWJB this time, Tenten grinned before she suddenly engulfed his still hard PP with her mouth, taking it to the base of his PP in an instant. Immediately after, Tenten pulled her head back to the tip before she pushed her head back down to the base, facefucking herself on his thick PP over and over again. Naruto grunted in approval and ran his hand through Tenten's hair, encouraging her to keep going. Tenten smirked as she kept slamming her head and mouth back and forth on his pages, over and over again. Temari looked on at this nonplussed. While she knew Tenten was great when it came to pleasuring Naruto, her skill was more tied to her anal prowess. Temari felt like she herself was more well-rounded with a skill in BLWJBS. God damn. Naruto grunted as he fired his juice down Tenten's after she took him to the base one last time. While he leaked hard, he had to be honest that Temari got the harder CLMX from him. She had hit his most sensitive spots after all in a slow and repeated assault. So who won? Tenten asked after she pulled herself off his PP. Be honest stud, Temari said with a smirk. It was good Tenten, but Temari's got me to leak harder. I'll F your peach after her to make up for it if you want, Naruto told her. Ha! In your face, you weapon SLT. Temari exclaimed as she jumped up in excitement, letting her BR-clad tips bounce from her excitement and glee. Now here Temari, Naruto said with a smirk. Temari smirked back before she crawled up Naruto's body and straddled him, shedding her clothes as she did so before she impaled herself on his pages, crying out before she started to bounce on his PPMMM out as Naruto grabbed her bouncing tips with his hands. Ah! F yeah! I missed this PP so much. Temari exclaimed passionately. Tenten growled at this. She could normally accept her loss in a challenge rather well. But Temari just loved to mock her every time she beat Tenten. She then smirked as she had an idea enter her head before she snuck over to her bag and rummaged through it. Naruto grunted in pleasure as Temari continued to bounce on his PP like a wild animal. As this was happening, out of the corner of his eyes he spotted Tenten approaching Temari from behind while she was wearing a strap-on. A strap-on the same size as his pages. Something that Enko had created for several women called the B-Breaker. Model number 9, Naruto. Tenten put her finger to her mouth and winked at Naruto as she slowly got behind Temari. Yeah, stud. F your B. Use me like a piece of meat. Temari and begged, F me. F me. Fu oh F me. Temari screamed out as Tenten impaled the strap-on into Temari's peach in one sudden motion, making the blonde scream loudly. Heh. Not as good of an peach as mine, but I can see the appeal, Tenten said as she giggled. You. Temari growled before she helplessly as Tenten and Naruto started to move in sync in her holes. Each one pounding away at the holes they chose as all she could do was endure and take it. Slowly being driven mad as they pounded and pounded away at her like savage beasts. If you feel even better, Naruto growled as he pinched one of her tips, making her squeals go up an octave in volume. Tenten's assault on her peach made Temari tighten up her siente around his PP from every move Tenten gave her, driving the blonde woman mad with unending pleasure. Hey, I win this time, Tenten smirked before she liked at Temari's cheek. How's it feel to be my wear now as well as Naruto's? Tenten asked the mewling blonde. Temari couldn't respond as her tongue hung from her mouth and her eyes rolled up into her head. She was losing her mind. She could only from what was happening to her body. She's getting close, I can tell, Naruto grunted out. Good, let's wrap this up, Tenten said before she pushed Temari down so she was pressed against Naruto's chest before she started to move even more into Temari's peach, making the blonde cry out. Ah. Ga. Ha. Temari tried to form words and communicate but couldn't form a single word. She could only as she felt her release hit hard. Her wet juices spraying out down Naruto's PP length onto the bed beneath them. Naruto felt his own release coming and growled as he pulled Temari into a kiss, making her scream into his mouth as they both climaxed together. As soon as the two lovers finished their rutting, Tenten pulled the strap-on from Temari's peach and Naruto pulled away from the kiss. Only for Temari to immediately have her head fall to his chest. Passed out from her harsh orgasm. Nay, not so tough now, are ya? Tenten said with a smirk as she removed the strap-on from her lower body. You are hot when you're reveling in your victory, Naruto said with a smirk at the brunette. DMN straight. I'm not gonna instantly submit like the others. You know, yay. And if I asked you to bend over the couch for me? Naruto asked with a smirk. I'd say make me after you try and tear my BR and panties from my body. I won't make it easy, Tenten said with a challenging smirk at the Yakuza prince. Naruto's grin widened as she stood up from the bed and suddenly tackled Tenten to the floor, ripping her BR and panties to ribbons with his hands as he grabbed Tenten and hoisted her up, bringing her over to and bending her over to a nearby couch before she even had time to react to his actions. I thought you weren't gonna make it easy, Naruto asked with a mocking tone as he rubbed his PP against her exposed peach. Shut up and take my first-class peach, prince. Tenten as she shuddered in anticipation. Naruto smirked and suddenly slammed his entire length into her peach. You talk a big game, Tenten, but let's be honest here, you're just as SBMSSV as the rest of my girls, Naruto told her with a teasing tone. Don't complain, prince. You love your weapon SLT and her big peach, Tenten purred out with a smirk as her peach slapped against his abs. True, I do. Now let's make that peach clap, Naruto grinned as he started to slam himself into her peach. Over and over and over again as 1010 begging for more and more. Yes. Ram your pee-pee in my peach. Slam it in me. Hammer away at my fat jiggly peach you hung F beast. 1010 begged and as Naruto pounded away at her. Room next door. Unknown to the Yakuzas in the hotel. Next door to their room was the suite that housed all 5 of the Simpsons family. Who could hear the screams and from Naruto's rough F of 1010 and Temari both. Lucky beat Lisa thought to herself as she thought about Naruto. She had been putting off getting NTMT with him due to his busy schedule of taking down Fat Tony amongst other things. But the reality was she was slowly losing it from waiting so long. She wanted him to F her next. She wanted it so badly. And now she had to hear some lucky woman getting it on with some random guy next door. It made her corny and jealous. By Buddha she couldn't wait to get home and finally get NTMT with Naruto. But that would have to wait as Naruto was in Springfield right now and she was in Detroit with her family. She then realized that her family was probably hearing everything going on in the next room like her. With Naruto. 1010 was panting hard and sweating as Naruto held her peach cheeks as he continued to move into her. So do you want my juices to flood your peach or do you want it on your back? Naruto asked with a smirk as 1010 was mewling like AB in heat from his savage and fast thrusts. On my back I love feeling you mark me. 1010 as being marked by him like she was his property was a turn on for her. Naruto smirked as he pulled his pee-pee out of her and beat it, sending a juice of his hot juices onto her back and ass cheeks. 1010 shuddered at this as this feeling made her leak herself. Her pee-pee juices spraying onto the couch before her eyes rolled up into her head and she passed out. Before Naruto could react to 1010 passing out from her massive CLMX, Yugao suddenly opened the door and walked in. Surveying the scene of Temari passed out on the bed and 1010 passed out on the couch. "Ah, you're done, I'll go back to Dash," Yugao was saying before Naruto cut her off. "Yugao, disrobe yourself in here," Naruto ordered firmly. "Yes, my prince." Yugao suddenly exclaimed as she immediately dropped her clothes in an instant, leaving her naked body on full view for him to eye up. When him or Kushina gave an order she fulfilled it. This was no different. If he wanted to F her for a week straight till she was PRGN and she'd do it in a heartbeat. Naruto smirked as he approached Yugao and pushed her onto the floor and soon he got on top of her. He pinned her down before he thrust it hard into her awaiting CNT. Slamming his full length into her tight TWT as she screamed out from the sudden impalement. "SHT. I forgot how F-tight you are." Naruto grunted out as he pulled his length out to the tip and slammed it back inside her. "I'll always be tight for you, my prince." Yugao out and then yelped when Naruto slammed into her again and grabbed at her jiggling melons with his hands, holding her down as he started to move away while moving and grpng each of her bouncy bub. The sounds of Naruto pounding Yugao went on for the next 6 hours as Temari and 1010 remained passed out, leaving only Yugao awake to sate his lusts. The next day, a woman with long red hair wearing a black suit and skirt combination and BLD red heels walked through the halls of the hotel towards room 209. With her was another woman with long black hair wearing a blue version of the same outfit and black heels. This was Kushina Uzumaki and her guard Mikoto Uchiha. "Oi! I know you're there." Kushina yelled as she kicked open the hotel room door hard, knocking it to the ground completely off its hinges as it crashed to the floor, and revealed the sight of a NDE 1010 passed out bent over the couch, the NDE Temari passed out in the bed, and a disheveled Yugao currently being pounded into by Naruto on the floor right in front of the door. "Empress Kushina!" Yugao shouted in shock as she felt Naruto's juice flood her PP once more. "DMN it, mom!" Naruto shouted in irritation. "Hey, seeing you like this is no picnic for me either. It's gonna take some hardcore booze to bury this one." Kushina yelled. "You constantly encourage me to do this stuff." Naruto yelled. "Yeah. So I can be a grandmother already." Not so you can get your rocks off, you brat. Kushina yelled back. Just get out, we will be ready soon. Naruto sighed. Don't bother. Mikoto, get his SLTS up and ready to go. Kushina ordered with a snap of her fingers. At once Empress, Mikoto spoke up with a bow before she quickly walked over and woke Temari and Tenten to get dressed. Meanwhile Yugao quickly stood and started to get her own clothes on. Embarrassed at the situation. I swear if we are late I expect you to make it up to this hopeful business partner brat, Kushina growled out as Naruto got dressed in a white suit, white pants, white shirt, and white tie. We'll be fine, Naruto said as he wasn't worried about being late. Good, now you think Yugao's PRGNNT? Kushina asked with a smirk. You wish. I have all my girls on BRTHCNTRL, Naruto said with an eye roll. One thing. I ask for one thing. Kushina groaned out, this is why I set up Mikoto and the others for you, damn it. I want some goddamn grandchildren to pass on our legacy to. You will get them when I'm ready, woman. Naruto yelled at his mother, his temper getting the better of him. Oh, you think you're bad enough to take me on, brat? Kushina yelled with a manic grin dancing across her lips. Maybe later. I don't want you to look like a beat-up hag when we get to this meeting, Naruto said before. Smash. Naruto found himself planted into the floor by a punch from Kushina to the top of his head. With Lisa. Lisa and her family were outside a massive mansion waiting for the arrival of her father's half-brother Herbert Powell. Suddenly a limousine pulled up. Hey buddy, you know the guy who lives here? Homer asked the back window. The window then rolled down to reveal a man that looked almost identical to Homer's face except with a full head of brown hair. Homer, the man asked, surprised at seeing a carbon copy almost of himself, only bald. Herb? Homer asked as the man stepped out of the limo. Herb smiled as he got out of his limousine, revealing he was skinnier than Homer and wearing a blue suit. Come here, little bro, he yelled before he hugged Homer happily. Welcome to my home, he said, turning Homer to look at the mansion. Holy CRP, the BSTRD's rich. Bart yelled in shock. Bart. Watch your language. Marge chided her son. Well, he's not technically wrong, Maggie said with a smirk. Ha. These your kids? You two, the little hellraisers your dad told me about? Herb asked Bart and Maggie. That's us, Unkai Herb, Bart said with a grin. Would you believe Maggie is the one to fear? Lisa asked with a chuckle. We have a younger sister. Herb asked Homer. No, this is our daughter Lisa. She's our oldest, Marge said with a smile. Hello, Lisa said with a smile at her new uncle. A kid in college and two little hell raisers. Man, must be exciting living in Springfield. Well, we should get off the street and talk inside, Herb said with a chuckle. They then heard honking as a red limousine was making its way down the road behind Herb's limousine. Oh right, I have business to attend to real quick before we catch up, Herb said as a woman with spiky brown hair exited the driver's side and opened the back seat door. Thank you Tsum, Kushina said as she stepped out of the open door. Wait, Kushina Uzumaki? Maggie asked with a raised eyebrow, recognizing this woman. This made all the Simpsons freeze in surprise. You know me, kid? Kushina asked curiously. I should. Your son is dating Big Sis, Maggie said, making Lisa start to pale. Lisa Simpson is here? Kushina asked with a monotone voice as she approached the family just as Naruto, Mikoto, Yugao, Temari, and Tenten stepped out from the opened limo. Naruto froze as he spotted Lisa and the rest of the Simpsons and saw his mom making a beeline for Lisa. Ah hell, he groaned as he slapped his forehead. Mom, calm down, Naruto said as he tried to grab his mom by her shoulder only to be quickly thrown back toward the limo, being caught by Mikoto and Tsum. Sit right there, brat. Mommy would like to have a word with your girlfriend, Kushina said calmly, continuing her approach. Wear a helmet, sis. Maggie yelled as she could see that Kushina wasn't playing. After all, she sent Naruto flying with ease. Before Lisa could respond, Kushina was already upon her, sending strike from right her fist at Lisa, but Lisa moved to the side and grabbed her arm as it landed on her shoulder and flipped her over her shoulder, slamming her on the ground. This got silence from everyone. Holy F, she just judo flipped the BLD Empress, Temari said with wide eyes. Kushina laid in silence at this before. Hee gahahahahahaha. Kushina cackled madly before she quickly jumped to her feet, grinning, "Oh, I definitely like you. Only girl interested in my boy to actually fight back. Even Anko cowered last time she fought me," Kushina said as she calmed down. "Miss Uzumaki, you know my brother's family?" Herb asked curiously. "First time I'm meeting them in person, admittedly. I know of them through my brat. After all, he's dating your niece," Kushina said, pointing her thumb back at Naruto, who was still stunned silent at what he saw Lisa do. "You okay?" Lisa asked Naruto curiously. "That's hot, I mean yes, I'm fine," Naruto said without thinking before he composed himself. This got laughs from Bart and Maggie until Marge got them to stop. Still wary since Kushina was the leader of a crime organization. "Oh, relax, Blue. You're all fine, besides we're all gonna be family someday if I have my way," Kushina said, waving her hand dismissively at this, hoping to put Marge at ease. This caused all the adults to sigh in relief. "Hey, if we're family, do I get my own Yakuza minions?" Maggie asked with a grin. "I second this question," Bart said, grinning himself. Thinking of all the chaos he could cause with minions. "It'd be amazing." "Ha! I like these kids." Kushina chuckled. "You would. Maggie is pretty much a mini-you," Naruto grumbled under his breath. "Anyways, I believe we've spent far too much time on the sidewalk. Let's all head in, shall we?" Kushina suggested. "Yes, Miss Uzumaki. I'll have my butlers show you all to your rooms," Herb said as he snapped his fingers at some men who, like one well-oiled machine, grabbed everyone's bags and brought them to their respective rooms. "Call me Kushina Powell. You're a Simpson, so you get that much. Whether this deal goes through or not, your family," Kushina said with a smile. "We're not married yet," Naruto said as they were all led inside the mansion. Keyword yet. "I'll be paying for everything in regards to when you two do tie the knot," Kushina said with a smile. Suddenly they all heard a gunshot sound and Kushina moved her head to the side and looked at the gates to the mansion with a harsh glare. Mikoto instantly running over and what sounding like yelling was heard. "I swear if those French assassins are after me again, I'll shove stale baguettes where the sun don't shine," Kushina growled. Mikoto dragged over a man in a fine Italian suit and threw him at Kushina's feet. Kushina squatted down looking at the man. "So Fat Boy is sending hitman after me, eh?" Kushina said with a grin as she could tell this was one of Fat Tony's men. Before the man could say anything, Kushina punched him in the face, cracking his jaw and sending him to the ground. "The rest of you go inside. Some I want this piece of trash talking within an hour. Bring him somewhere secluded," Kushina said to her subordinate. "As you wish," Some nodded and bowed before she dragged away the man. "Oh, I want to see how you deal with some bags," Maggie yelled as they all went inside. "Maybe when you're older, kid," Kushina said with a grin. She was really liking this brat. Powell Mansion, Detroit, Michigan. Inside a makeshift work shed. Ack. The hitman that attempted to assassinate Kushina screamed as Mikoto electrocuted him with a car battery and jumpers attached to his tips. Currently he was in a gardener's shed being interrogated by Mikoto, Sum, and Kushina. "Are you ready to talk?" Kushina asked with a glare. "F off, you stupid bee. I ain't saying nothing," the Italian mobster spat out, sending spit on Kushina's face in defiance. "I see. Hit him again, Mikoto," Kushina ordered as she wiped the fool's spit from her face as the man was electrocuted again. "Ag." The hitman screamed in agony. This one is actually tough. Old Fat Boy must have recruited you from outside his usual group of morons. How much did he pay you to take this job?" Kushina asked as she approached a wall where there was a bunch of weapons and tools hanging on it. F off CNT, the hitman growled out. Ooh, quite the mouth on you, huh? Well, we can fix that after you talk. But I suppose something needs to go in the meantime, Kushina cackled as she reached for a pair of large gardening shears. Mikoto helped this BSTRD out of his, we're gonna mark him. Kushina said as she gained a manic smile on her face. Whoa, what? The hitman yelled as Mikoto suddenly tore the man's pants and underwear, revealing a too short PP. Oh my god, it's so tiny. Kushina cackled. F you. It's not funny. A small PP's a disability. You wouldn't laugh at a guy in a wheelchair. The man yelled. That depends. Did I cripple them? Kushina asked with a smirk. You're F nuts B. The hitman shouted. You're starting to bore me. Now, speaking of nuts, do you want to talk or lose your nuts? Kushina asked as she clipped the shears at his PP in a threatening way. Talk quickly. For every second you don't, I'm gonna snip closer and closer until you're a woman. Kushina giggled insanely. Suddenly the shed door opened and Naruto entered the room. Mom, it's dinner time. So step away from the NDE hitman. Oh god, it's just like when we went to Vegas that one time, Naruto groaned seeing that. That priest had it coming. Kushina yelled as she looked at her son. Whatever, look past the interrogation to your guards. We have to get to the dining hall, Naruto said. Bah, fine, ruin my fun. Mikoto, do whatever it takes to make him talk, Kushina said as she shoved the shears into her guard's hands. As you command, BLD Empress, Mikoto said before the mother and son walked out of the shed. You just had to stop me, huh? I never get to dirty my hands anymore since taking over. There's always a satisfaction to watching the fear in your victim's eyes come to light. Kushina groaned. I don't want you covered in BLD at dinner, not in front of Lisa's family, Naruto said firmly. Kushina lightly smirked at hearing this. Oh, is my little prince a sap for his girl? She asked as she pinched his cheek. No. Look, they know what we do. They understand we're at war with the fat shitstain. But I'm not gonna let them get scarred and terrified over seeing it fully. Naruto said. Ah, I get ya. You like them and want to keep them safe both physically and mentally. Kushina said as she nodded in understanding. Yes, I do, Naruto said as he nodded. Does this include the youngest girl? I swear she's giving me flashbacks to me when I was in primary school, Kushina said with a smile as she reminisced. That sounds accurate, I won't lie. Regardless, let's try not to mess up their minds too much with the things we do, Naruto said. Got it, but don't complain if I keep them on their toes a bit. If they're gonna be my future in-laws, then they gotta get used to us Uzumakis being a little nuts, Kushina said with a smirk. That's the best I'm gonna get, I guess, Naruto sighed as he shook his head. Also, a word of advice. Try as hard as you can to shelter them, but no matter what, they will get involved just from knowing what you do. What we do. You can try all you like, fight till the very end, but the reality is they will eventually be brought into it unwillingly or willingly, Kushina said seriously. Like dad, huh? Naruto asked solemnly. Kushina sighed at this as she nodded, and after a few moments of silence. Okay brat, let's go eat with my future in-laws. We need to plan the wedding, the honeymoon, and the CNCPTN of any children with Lisa, Kushina said as she walked away from her son. I'm not ready for any of that. Naruto yelled, following after her while they passed Temari, Yugao, and Tenten on a perimeter patrol. A few moments later, everyone was in the dining room sitting at the table eating dinner. Lisa was sitting next to Naruto and sitting across from her was Kushina. Vegetarian, huh? Kushina asked, taking note of Lisa's food. Yeah. I hope that's not an issue, Lisa said, a bit awkwardly nervous. No, it's fine. I know a few cooks that have made me some incredible vegetarian meals. Actually, I myself have made some meatloaf without an ounce of meat in it, and I swear it tasted the same as the real thing. It's no issue at all. Especially in today's day and age with so many vegan and vegetarian recipes, Kushina said. Can I get that recipe? Marge asked curiously as Homer looked at Kushina surprised at the idea of such a meatloaf. Not a problem at all. I was admittedly experimenting with a few vegetarian recipes when I actually have the chance to cook. Mostly cause this one lives off of ramen, Kushina said pointing at Naruto. Hey, the chefs had no problem making it for me when asked, Naruto said defensively. The chefs aren't gonna turn down anything you or I ask for. It's why I try to cook for myself to relax when needed, Kushina said. Didn't expect a woman like you to cook, Maggie said as she cut her steak. Being rich and powerful is all well and good to most, but when you're weighted on hand and foot all the time you become lazy. In our business, laziness is a death sentence for us. You adapt or you perish, Kushina told them. Don't need to tell me, lady, I'm always active looking for any opportunity to make a buck. Speaking of, does anyone want to buy a watch? Maggie asked holding up 3 watches. Oi! Herbert yelled as he recognized the watches. No robbing your uncle, Marge chided Maggie as she handed the watches over to Herbert. Ha! I really like this kid. Kushina grinned at Maggie's antics. So Miss Uzumaki, how exactly did you become the head of a Marge was trying to say but kept stammering. She wants to know how you became a mob boss, Bart supplied. Bart. Marge hissed out. Nah, it's a valid question. It was always a family business, but I killed my way to the top after my dear daddy tried marrying me off to a rival clan. Ah, sweet memories. Kushina said casually as she cut her steak. Wait, that's what happened to Grandpa. You told me he was taken out by a rival clan, Naruto said surprised. Oh, he was. I just told them where he was, and when they went into his bunker to kill him I took them all out by gassing them all, Kushina said simply as she took a bite of steak. Bad as, Bart said in awe as he looked at Kushina. Ahem, so Miss Uzumaki dash, Herbert was saying before he was cut off. I told you that you can call me Kushina Powell. We're practically family due to these 2-inch, Kushina said gesturing to Naruto and Lisa. Well, we haven't been dating even a year, Miss Uzumaki, Lisa said sheepishly. Yeah, but my brat told me to behave around your family. Trust me, he likes you a lot, Kushina said with a smirk. Regardless of this, Kushina. I was hoping we could discuss our business deal, Herbert said, hoping to get to the point. Ah, that. Don't worry, I won't be taking control of your business or anything, but I will be investing in your company and helping you with advice on how to one-up some of your competitors. Legally in this case, unless you want some alternative ways to do so, Kushina offered. I would prefer legally, it's more fun if you can crush your competition so they know they lost to you in a fair game, Herbert admitted. Ha! Well said. Anyways, on to the investments. I'm willing to write a check for $40 million American dollars right now to you, Kushina told him as she took out her checkbook, making Homer choke on his water. Dad, you okay? Lisa asked concerned. $40 million. Homer asked in shock. What? That not enough in your economy? Kushina asked with a raised eyebrow. I can offer double that then. $80 million. Kushina asked, making Homer faint. Homer. Marge shouted, checking on her husband. Speak to me, Marge said. Lisa, marry him, Homer groaned out as he tried to stay awake. Well, looks like you have her father's blessing, brat. Sure you don't want to marry now? I can have a priest here in 5 minutes, Kushina told Naruto with a smirk. Must you embarrass me, Mom? Naruto groaned a bit. I think that's part of a parent's job, Whiskers, Maggie said as she chuckled. She gets it. Besides, this was well worth losing out on some pocket change, Kushina smirked. Pocket change? Homer shouted out before his eyes rolled back into his head. I think you broke him, Bart said after a moment. He should be fine, and if not I'll fly Tsunade in to look him over, Kushina waved it off. Tsunade? Marge asked curiously. My bachan, Naruto said as he sighed. So she's your mom, but you call her by her first name? Lisa asked confused. She's a distant cousin technically. Brat here just calls her that to mess with her, Kushina said with a chuckle. She's in her 70s for crying out loud, Naruto said with a scoff. Yeah, and she looks in her 20s, Kushina said with a chuckle. No way she looks that good, Lisa said as she shook her head. Oh, look and be amazed, future daughter-in-law, Kushina said as she pulled up a pic of Tsunade who was in a kimono while sitting in an office. Whoa mama! Bart yelled as he looked at the picture and how gifted she was body-wise. See what I meant? Kushina asked with a smirk. How does she have such big, Lisa stammered nervously. Good genes kid. Good genes, Kushina giggled. Relax, you're perfect already to me, Naruto said as he placed his arm around Lisa and gave her a hug. Ah, how sweet, Marge cooed out as Lisa blushed. Now was there anything else, Powell? Kushina asked before turning to see Herbert wiping away a bleeding nose from seeing Tsunade. No, if I'm honest, I thought a woman of your stature would take a lot more work to make a deal with, Herbert admitted. Yeah, well, seeing as we got the boring stuff out of the way now and you have discovered you have family now, how about we spend this weekend having some fun? Kushina suggested with a grin. Mom, the last time you had fun we buried 16 people, Naruto whispered. Relax, this is legal fun seeing as there are kids here. Also the 16 were only what you buried with me, Kushina whispered back. Well, if you're offering to show us a good time I won't say no, Maggie said with a grin. Yeah, show us the money. Bart said with a smile. Maggie. Bart. Marge yelled at this. Relax, it's fine. I'm sure I can take my future son-in-law and daughter-in-law here to something fun. Maybe an arcade or an amusement park, Kushina said with a grin, besides that would give you and your husband some well-deserved alone time, Kushina said with a smile. Welcome to the family, Homer out from the floor unconsciously. If you're looking to go somewhere fun for the weekend I could loan you my private jet to take us to Universal Studios or Disneyland or something, Herbert said as he had heard that those were the best amusement parks, he just never had a reason to go. Appreciated Powell. Especially since my jet is under investigation by air marshals, Kushina smiled. What happened to the Crimson Queen? Naruto asked referring to Kushina's private jet. Apparently one of the pilots fell asleep at the wheel due to narcolepsy and nearly crashed into another plane. Now it's grounded for a bit, Kushina sighed. I told you to fire that Nara pilot, Naruto deadpanned. Yeah. Okay kids, we're going to Florida. Kushina yelled, getting cheers from Bart and Maggie, but first I have to attend to some business really quickly, she said as she got up from the table. Give me 5 minutes. 10 tops, so meet me out at my limo. Kushina told them as she left the room. Woohoo! Bart and Maggie cheered. Gardener's shed / makeshift torture shed. Kushina walked back into the shed to see the progress of the hitman interrogation. So did he talk yet? Kushina asked Sum and Mikoto as they turned away from the bloody and shaking hitman. He talked moments ago. He was paid $50 million American for your assassination, Empress. The plan was to send your head to Naruto to demoralize his crew. 50 million. That's it? That's all I'm worth? Ugh. Did you get a name? Kushina asked with a hard tone. Hey, I don't know, did we, you piece of trash? Sum asked with a mad grin as she approached the hitman while wearing metallic claws. It was Fat Tony and his right-hand man Johnny Tightlips. The hitman squealed out in fright, not wanting Sum to torture him again. Those two clowns only paid 50 million to have me killed. This is the most insulting attempted assassination I've ever had, Kushina scowled. What's the plan? Mikoto asked. First I'm gonna go show my future-in-laws a good time, then I'm gonna go to Springfield and teach Fat Boy a lesson. Kushina growled out. So you're gonna let me go? The hitman asked with a hopeful tone. Oh, I never said that, Kushina said as she grabbed the large gardening shears again from Mikoto. I do see an appendage to cut off still. You can bleed out after I mail it to Fat Boy as a heads up, Kushina said with a mad grin as she approached the hitman. No. Stay back. I told you everything I know. No. Please. No. Aha. Were there any people outside of the shed? They would have heard horrifyingly loud screams sounded after a large snipping sound. Ah, the sound of agony and suffering, Kushina said with a manic grin. A few days later. It was a few days later and everyone was hanging out in Herb's backyard. Oh god damn it. Naruto groaned seeing Kushina teaching Maggie how to fire a crossbow. Remember, if you want them to reflect on their mistakes, Kushina was saying before she was cut off. I go for the kneecaps, Maggie said as she took aim and fired at the target only for the arrow to miss. Hey everyone, Herb and I, ag hi. Homer was saying until the arrow hit him in his knee. DMN cheap sights, Maggie growled as she looked at her crossbow. You okay, Dad? Bart asked. I'll be fine. This isn't an issue. I'm just gonna limp over to a chair, Homer said with a groan before he limped to a chair to sit down. I think either you should call Tsunade or I can call Sakura Mom, Naruto said from his spot on a lawn chair next to the pool. Oh, he's fine, brat, go apply sunscreen to your girlfriend, Kushina said as she waved her son off. I could actually use some help. Besides, Dad's taken way worse hits than that, Lisa said as she laid down on the lawn chair next to Naruto on her back wearing an orange bikini which showed off her curves. Okay, Naruto said with a gulp as he took a bottle of sunscreen and started to rub it on her arms and legs and stomach. Think you can also get my back, sweetie? Lisa asked as she turned over onto her stomach. Naruto panted a bit at this before he composed himself and helped Lisa apply sunscreen to her back, making her lightly smirk at the fact she was getting to him. Kushina chuckled at this as she watched. This girl is mischievous, I like that, she thought. Oi. You are gonna teach me to keep my subordinates in line or what? Maggie yelled out, getting Kushina's attention. Oh right. Alright, the first trick is to make them gain fear of you in some capacity. I recommend making an example of a useless punk. Bah, I already did that when I punched out the school bully's tooth and kept it as a necklace, Maggie said as she reached into her short and pulled out a necklace which showed there indeed was a tooth on it. Nice one. I was gonna suggest a finger or toe at the least. A tooth is so elementary school, Kushina said as she waved her hand dismissively. I used pliers, Maggie said with a smirk as Kushina paused at her words. I officially have a new apprentice, Kushina grinned, you're now like the daughter I never had. Kushina told her happily. Should we be concerned? Lisa asked curiously. Yes, we should, Naruto admitted as he sighed. So what was the news, Dad? Bart asked curiously. Herb's letting me help make a car with his manufacturing team, Homer said as he pulled the arrow out of his knee while he bandaged it up. Is that a good idea? Lisa questioned. What? What's the harm? Homer questioned. No offense, Mr. Simpson, but do you know much about car manufacturing or building a car? Naruto asked. Yeah, what's your educational background? Kushina asked firmly. High school graduate, Homer said as Marge helped him bandage his wound. Wait, aren't you the safety inspector of a nuclear power plant? Doesn't that require a degree? Naruto questioned. I think your Ba-chan's ex's hiring policies is a little lacking. No offense, Kushina said as she shook her head. Some taken, Homer admitted. Anyways, I'm not gonna knock your education. Tell you what, why don't I go with you seeing as I'm invested? Just to make sure you don't go too overboard, Sith crazy suggestions, Kushina offered. I don't know, Homer was saying before he was cut off. Homie, maybe it would be best to have her give advice so you don't risk hurting your brother's company, Marge said as she finished bandaging Homer's leg. Oh, alright. I'll do it for you, Homer said with a sigh and a smile. Thank you, Marge said with a smile as she kissed him on the cheek. Ah, you guys remind me of when I was married, Kushina said with a sad smile. Why aren't you married? Bart asked curiously. Okay, brat, new lesson: keeping your right-hand man loyal. I suggest a Charlie horse in every muscle. Kushina said to Maggie while she glared at Bart, who shuddered in fear. Word of advice, kid. Never ask her that question, Naruto warned Bart. Noted, Bart said before the families went back to enjoying their relaxation. Springfield a few days later. Naruto and Kushina were in the back of her limo after the business with Herb was finished. Kushina was able to keep Homer in check for making too many changes to the car named after him by his brother. Luckily, however, the car had made a killing due to its simplicity and the modern technology installed. Due to this, Homer was making residual money just from it being named after him. I can't believe you didn't make Homer give you a cut of his residuals for his car, Naruto said with a chuckle as he looked at the newspaper which had the cover story for how big a hit Homer's car was. The first check he received made him faint from shock at how many zeros there were. I figured I'd throw my future-in-laws a bone. Besides, I felt kind of bad for making it seem like I was insulting his intelligence and education levels the other day, Kushina admitted. You feel bad? Naruto questioned. Hey, if I'm gonna insult someone it'll be on purpose. Besides, while he is a simple man he's a good man, which is rare in this world, Kushina admitted. Thanks for looking out for them, Mom, Naruto said with a grateful nod at his mom. Not a problem. So how goes that apartment building you bought out? There any available rooms? Kushina asked. Not gonna stay at my house? Naruto asked curiously. I am not walking in on you in bed with your women again. It happens way too often and I can only drink so much alcohol to forget, Kushina deadpanned. Fair enough, Naruto said with a sheepish chuckle as the limo stopped. Okay, this is our stop, Kushina said as Makoto opened the door for them to exit. Revealing they were in front of Naruto's house just as Yugao pulled up in Naruto's car behind them with Tenten and Temari. My house? Why do you want to stop by here? Naruto asked, confused as he had informed his mom of everything he had been doing. I'm here for a report, Kushina said as she opened the door, revealing Gaara, Enko, Kurenai, Sakura, and Ino along with 4 newcomers. One was a woman with long auburn hair wearing a strapless blue dress and white heels. Cup Melons, a model curvy body, and a big, heart-shaped peach. This was Mei Terumi. Another was a woman with short green hair wearing a black tank top, white shorts, and a set of green running shoes that had Cup Melons, a toned body, and a plump peach. This was Fu. The third was a woman with short black hair wearing a red shirt-sleeved shirt, a black skirt, and a pair of black sandals with Cup Melons, a muscle-toned and fit body, and a plump round peach. This was Kuratsuchi. The fourth and final woman was a blue-haired woman with piercings on her lips wearing a black hooded coat over a black shirt with a red cloud design, and tight black pants. This was Conan. Hail to the BLD Empress, all of the gathered Yakuza said as they took a knee before Kushina. At ease. Report, Conan, Kushina ordered seriously. Yes, BLD Empress. As per your instruction, we have attacked the mobster known as Fat Tony by burning his social club to the ground as well as killing half of his men, Conan said before she gestured to a bag on the table. That bag contains the heads of 30 of higher-up lackeys. Fu took them out herself. I managed to also steal several deeds for businesses that we didn't burn down and may manage to have them forged in Prince Naruto's name before she killed Fat Tony's money handler and accountant. Kuratsuchi was able to also steal several weapons from a warehouse Fat Tony owned before she burned the place to cinders, Conan reported. Good, you all get around with my brat, Kushina said with a nod at the women who all nodded. Oi, I'm not some stud you can PMP out, woman. Naruto yelled. Yeah, he ain't a bottle of wine to just be passed around. Damn it, even wine shouldn't be passed around, Sakura yelled as she waved around a bottle of sake. Please ignore her. She's on her 12th bottle, Ino pleaded as she silenced Sakura with her hand while looking at Kushina. What's your deal? I'm not hot enough for you? Kuratsuchi asked with a glare at Naruto. Perhaps he just prefers more mature women like myself, Mei said with a flirty wink at Naruto as she posed for him. Please, I like all kinds of women. Hell, I love tomboys and goths. Naruto said as he slightly checked Kuratsuchi and Conan out. As much fun as it would be to see you all argue over who is next in the prince's bed, I have received a message from one of our spies in Tony's crew just before you arrived, BLD Empress. It appears he has sent one of his higher-up men, Johnny Tightlips, along with a small entourage to speak to and convince Charles Montgomery Burns to fund their organization at his mansion, Gaara spoke up. Oh really? Say brat, how would you like to help me kick some mobster peach? Kushina asked with a savage grin. You and me versus a room of mobsters. I'd almost feel pity for them. Almost. Naruto grinned back at his mother. Let's go. Conan, you're driving. Everyone else. Remain here until further notice, Kushina ordered as she, Naruto, and Conan headed out of the door. This is gonna be fun, Naruto said with a smile as he left. I'm gonna make the prince mine, Mei said with a lustful smile at this. I can't wait to have him ravage me like a wild animal. Are we sure her and Kurenai aren't related with their whole crazy for Naruto thing? Anko asked the room. It's a redhead thing, Karui is nuts with him too, Ino said with a giggle. For you have hacking knowledge, correct? Kurenai asked, ignoring the conversation. Some why? She asked curiously. See if you can get us a video feed from Burns Manor. I want to see what the prince and BLD Empress do in case they need backup, Kurenai said. I'll make the popcorn. Anko yelled as she ran to the kitchen. Burns Manor. Inside the Burns Manor, said man was sitting in his living room in his chair while his assistant Smithers stood at his side while Tony and his men entered the room. Thank you for agreeing to see us, Mr. Burns, Fat Tony said with a smile. Make it quick, you whale. I don't have the time to listen to the bumbling fools of this city. Mr. Burns said with a scowl. Fat Tony's eye twitched at the insult before he composed himself. So Mr. Burns, as you've no doubt heard, our organization has taken a massive hit against a new group. We came here to see if you'd be willing to help us reclaim our control over Springfield. With your funding not only would we make a killing together, but you would of course make even more of a profit from our legitimate business, Tony said with a smile. I see now, tell me something, why the devil should I throw my money into the ring against the Uzumaki crime family? Mr. Burns asked. So you know of them? Tony asked with a frown as he was hoping that Mr. Burns didn't know anything about this, which would make things easier. Know of them? Why, you brainless buffoon, I was once an honorary member. You see, many years ago I was engaged to a spitfire of a woman named Mito Uzumaki. I helped fund the crime syndicate. Burns said with a grin. Then say if we held you for ransom dash, Tony was saying with a smirk before he was cut off as the door to the room was kicked down. You wouldn't get a DMN thing from the Uzumaki dumbass, Kushina said with a savage grin as she entered the room. Mito? Burns asked, shocked seeing Kushina. Not her old man. She's still alive and kicking though back in Japan, Kushina said with a smile. Sorry about breaking in. You need some better security, by the way. Way more than just some hounds, Naruto said, straightening his tie. So the BLD Empress and the Prince have crashed this meeting. What for, may I ask? Tony asked with a scowl. Well, we came to see the old man, considering he's related to us. On top of that, we came to send your fat carcass off to hell where it belongs, Kushina said as she cracked her knuckles. I see this puts us in quite the predicament, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Burns? Tony asked. The devil are you talking about, you imbecile? Mr. Burns was asking before Johnny Tightlips put a gun to his head while Smithers had a gun pointed at his head. We just told you a hostage situation won't work and your first instinct is a hostage situation. Kushina asked flatly. Hostage situation? Why on earth would you think such a thing? We're just using them as meat shields, Tony said as the men pointed their guns at the mother and son. Yeah, not a fan of that. If half the SHT I heard is true, he's got it coming, but he's family DMN it, Naruto said with a hard glare as he took out some kunai and spun them in his fingers before throwing them into the gun barrels of each of Tony's men, making them explode as soon as they tried tea. Mr. Burns' eyes slightly widened at Naruto's words before Smithers tackled him to the ground and behind a couch. 10 guys total. You take the 5 on the right. I'll take the 5 on the left. We split Fat Peach, Naruto said as he ripped off his suit top and tie in one go, revealing his bare muscular chest. Screw that, I'll take out all of M and Fat Boy. Kushina exclaimed before she looked at the assembled guards. Tell me something, you 2-bit mobsters. Have you ever felt true fear before? Kushina asked as she moved her neck, which audibly cracked. Please, we're not scared of some red-haired CNT. One of the mobsters yelled in defiance. Oh, you guys are so dead, Naruto winced as he saw his mother scowl in fury. I'm going to feed you your own heart, Kushina said before she dashed at the man and plunged her fist into his chest. Ripping through the man's chest like it were tissue paper as she pulled out the man's heart. Now eat. Kushina yelled as she shoved the heart into the man's mouth, dislocating his jaw as she did so. Holy SHT. Another mobster yelled in shock and terror. 1 pest down. 10 more to go. Make it fun for me, boys. Kushina yelled as her gaze turned to the other mobsters. Hold her off, boys. Tony ordered as he ran towards a window and dove out of it. F coward. Naruto yelled as he grabbed one of his men and snapped his arm before slamming the man's head into the wall, knocking him out. You fools are boring me. Kushina yelled as she grabbed another mobster and threw him against a wall before grabbing him by his throat and started to strangle him before ripping out his. Scream for me, you little shits. Scream. Kushina cackled. Okay, seeing as your Fat Peach boss has left, I'm gonna give the rest of you a choice. You leave with a broken limb from me or you answer to her, Naruto said pointing at a BLD-covered Kushina. Will an arm do? One of the mobsters asked after a moment of thought. Smart group, okay, form a line and I'll do this quickly. Naruto yelled at the rest of the mobsters. Hold on. Which one of you is Johnny Tightlips? Kushina asked the mobsters. The one whose throat you ripped out, a mobster said as Naruto was holding the man's arm. Ah, okay, go ahead, brat, Kushina said with a nod at her son before the sound of breaking bones and screams was heard. Mr. Burns and Smithers came out of hiding from behind the couch after the fighting ended. What should we do with the ones that are alive, sir? Smithers asked his boss. Release the hounds, Mr. Burns ordered with a firm tone, which got a nod from Smithers. Ha! I like you, Ajizan. Kushina said with a laugh at this. Wait, so you were serious about that? Naruto asked, remembering what Kushina had said when they had arrived. Yes, he's family. His BLD runs through us just like Mito's does, Kushina said as she nodded. That explains so much, Naruto said flatly. You definitely have that Burns spirit to deal with your enemies, Mr. Burns said with a smile at Kushina. It's not often I get to dirty my own hands. So I enjoy it when I can. There's always a satisfaction to crushing my enemies beneath my feet. Kushina grinned. Mr. Burns then looked at Naruto with interest. Not a bad specimen for a son you have. And I have been looking for an heir. Yes, I believe as thanks for your help your son shall be my new heir, he said with a smile at Naruto. Score. Kushina said with a smile at this. Lisa is so gonna be mad if she finds out I'm related to him, Naruto grumbled as he covered his face with his hand. Oh, it up, Buttercup. If she's a good one she will get over it. Besides, we have bigger issues. Mainly Fat Boy running off in the night until he suffers a heart attack from the first bit of exercise he's done since elementary school, Kushina said with a scowl. You had half his men killed today and we had him run back to his men scared. I think this counts as a win, Naruto said with a flat tone of voice. Bah! If I had the chance I'd have killed all of them. Kushina scoffed. Oh, I really like you, Mr. Burns chuckled sinisterly. We will be in touch, Aji-san. Just play nice with my kid. He may not be a killer like me but he's still vicious. Of course he's part Burns. If me and Mito had one thing in common was loyalty to family. And also a love of watching people scream in agony from torture. Ah, those were the days, Burns reminisced. I'll say it again, this explains a lot about you Ka-san, Naruto said as he shuddered after all his memories of his mom slowly started to make sense now. I'll take that as a compliment brat. Now let's get back to the house before the cops show up, Kushina said. Don't worry, they won't hear a thing about you too. As for the bodies, I have ways of making them disappear, Mr. Burns said as the two Uzumaki headed for the door. I got to murder idiots and don't have to hide the bodies. This is fun day, Kushina grinned. Let's go home. I'm sure your ladies want you restrained to your bed. Kushina said to Naruto. They don't do that with me. I'm in Contro, why are we talking about this now? Naruto shook his head with a groan as his mother cackled madly. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. Do check his Patreon too for some surprises. See you in the next video, till then goodbye.